You may remember the pivot to video of the mid-2010s. This was a period of time on the internet when companies and sites decided to lower their written output and instead focus more on creating videos for their consumers to view instead. This was done for a variety of reasons, from the built-in ads that videos can provide, to the fact that people are way more likely to mindlessly watch a video than actually read some words on a screen. This pivot was somewhat controversial as it saw many staff members lose their jobs. Yet despite this, the pivot took off and now video can be found in many places where we once saw written words. Video is a really unique medium. Unlike the written word or pictures, we have way more control over what it actually does. While words or pictures on a screen simply just sit there, a video can be fast forwarded, rewound, or halted completely for us to resume at a later time. This control we have over video has to be communicated to us somehow, and to explain these actions to us, a series of near universal symbols have come into being. The two most universally recognized of these symbols being the play and pause symbol. These two signs go pretty much hand in hand with one another in the world of video. The triangle of play tells all of us we can click it to start our video, while the two vertical lines which make up the pause symbol is there to let us know we can halt the video at any time. These two symbols have become deeply entrenched with video, in particular the play button, which has more or less become the symbol of video. Like the most popular video platform in the world reward literal play buttons to their creators for hitting milestones. We all now kind of just accept and expect to see a play and pause button on a video today, and we all expect them to take the iconic form of a triangle and two vertical lines. But video isn't exactly a naturally occurring phenomenon. It didn't just sprout out of the ground and form into what it is today. It's a human-made construction, and so are the symbols linked with it. Somewhere at some point, a person or group of people decided that these symbols reflect the action of playing and pausing. Now, where exactly did they come from? And why did they take the shape of a triangle and vertical lines? These symbols today are most often seen on a screen, but they date back to the world of physical media. They can be seen on remote controls of televisions or directly on a TV, which features a built-in media player. Yeah, TVs used to come with built-in DVD players or even video players. Man, that was a time. These symbols have their origins, however, not with controlling video, but instead with controlling audio. While I've been focusing on video in this video so far, these symbols are just as deeply linked with the world of audio too. Just open your music or podcast app of choice and you'll most likely see them there. These symbols made their first appearance on physical audio players in the 1960s, so in the grand scheme they really aren't that old, especially considering that the playing of audio and video came into being way before the 1960s. The reason these symbols didn't appear on media players made before the 60s is because they couldn't really be paused and played in an easy manner, or they had other ways to operate these functions. Like, you can't press a button to pause a record, you have to literally lift the needle off of it to make it stop. What changed in the 1960s, however, was the birth of tape-based media, with the likes of reel-to-reel media players, which led to the creation of cassettes and videotapes. This was somewhat based on movie film, which had been around for a while at this point, but now is much more accessible and easier to manage. Tape-based media was first applied to audio, and tapes like this allowed for far more control over the playing of music and sounds. They could be stopped, played, moved along, and reversed with simple button presses. It's from these buttons that the symbols we all know and love today started to emerge. The main reason we have these symbols is fairly straightforward. These buttons could be pretty small, so it could be difficult to write out the words play and pause directly on them or near them. So to combat this issue, symbols were used in place of words. As for why these symbols were chosen exactly, well, we aren't exactly sure. There is no one defined origin for these symbols, nor is there one person who is seen as popularizing them. According to the Wikipedia page for the media control symbols, they were reportedly created by Ampex, an electronics company. But beyond this, we can't really pinpoint to any one person in particular as their creator. Thankfully, we have some pretty solid theories surrounding their origins, and genuine thought went into their creation. Take the triangle, which has come to represent the playing of video and audio. This symbol is not so much a straight up triangle, but instead one tilted to the side. It looks somewhat like the head of an arrow, and many believe this is actually what the play button is meant to be. It's pretty clever as to why an arrow pointing to the right is thought to have become the symbol for playing, and it all once again relates to tapes. When cassettes are played, the tape itself moves at a rapid pace, and it moves from left to right as it plays. It's from this notion of a tape playing from left to right as to where this symbol comes from. An arrow pointing to the right implies that the tape is in motion and moving rightwards, So it makes pretty logical sense as why we would use this symbol, as it indicates that a tape is in motion and moving towards the right. This idea that media plays from left to right not only led to the creation of this symbol, but also a wider idea of how media progresses as a whole. In most cases, especially with digital media, we perceive that it moves from left to right in motion, like the progress bar on YouTube moves from left to right, as it does on Netflix and pretty much every video player under the sun. The same rule applies to music players too, like Spotify or Apple Music. There's no actual mechanical reason for these kinds of progress bars to go from left to right. They could go right to left or even top to bottom. It's just a hangover from physical media that has made its way into the skeuomorphic design of modern digital media, and may ultimately stem from physical media players of the past that literally had to move from left to right. And the play symbol is an element of that too. This of course also led to the creation of the fast forward and rewind symbols too. They are represented with two arrows, with fast forward pointing to the right and rewind to the left. Once again, these reflect the direction in which tapes moved, and the two arrows highlight the extra speed they move in. What's equally as interesting as the symbol is the word we use for it. Play is a word with a lot of meanings, from playing with toys and games to playing an instrument to a performance of actors telling a story being called a play too. The word is of obscure Old English origins, and most of its meanings relate to partaking in something. Its use as the go-to word for starting media of some kind most likely comes from the idea that you are partaking in the enjoyment of that media. The earliest recording we have of the word play in relation to audio and video stems from 1903 according to the OED. Also, according to the OED, play has some other weirder older meanings too, like to boil water or to tie a fish out on a fishing line. Pause, meanwhile, is a word which isn't used as broadly. Its chief meaning is to bring something to a halt, whether that's a conversation, a trip, or a movie or song. It makes sense why this word of pause would be used to describe the action of a video or song stopping. What's a tad less obvious is the symbol used for pausing media. Those two vertical lines, which hopefully you won't be pressing in this video. There's a couple theories on the origins of this symbol. The first theory is that it relates to another media symbol, one that hasn't made the jump from physical to digital media as well as the play and pause symbol, that being the stop symbol. Anyone who had a VCR or boombox back in the day will be familiar with this one. It's a filled-in box. While pause would simply stop the video or music in the moment, the stop button would bring things to a complete halt, with you having to start things up again to resume the merriment instead of simply hitting the play button. We aren't really sure on the origins of the stop symbol itself. It may come from the fact that a big black box looks pretty immovable, or that it looks like a stationary cassette. But one idea is that the pause symbol is an adaptation of the stop symbol. As a pause is a less extreme version of a stop, its symbol may reflect this, with it being like the stop symbol but with a wedge taken out the middle to imply it's not as full on as a complete stop. The other theory on the origin of the pause symbol is that it relates to a much older symbol which also implies a break, that being a caesura. This is a symbol from the world of music and poetry, and used in those mediums to imply a break or pause in a song. This symbol is actually represented with, you guessed it, two lines, except those two lines were not vertical, but instead presented at a slight angle. It's easy to see how this symbol could be straightened out and made into the modern pause symbol we all know today. However they came about, they stuck around and became the go-to symbol of audio control. From here they were borrowed by video and made the transition from tape to disc to digital. These symbols came into being in the 60s, and how we consume video and audio has changed an awful lot since their inception. Tapes, which featured movies and music, were eventually phased out in favor of disc-based media like CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays. These felt like the future, but as the internet grew, they even became outdated, with many of us having iTunes libraries which were painstakingly organized and transferred to our iPods, as well as vast libraries of movies and TV shows on our computers that definitely weren't illegally downloaded. Eventually we came to our current age of streaming, where many films, TV shows and songs are available to you at any time. Well, unless the companies who run these services decide to drop them from their selections. While this is a huge change to how we consume media, a constant throughout this evolution has been the symbols we use, with that play and pause symbol waiting for you whenever you need to get up to make a cup of tea, or if someone has the audacity to speak to you while you're rocking out to your favourite song. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/Name Explain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.